We're in
where were we?
day 2.
Day 2.
Started day 2.
Oh yeah, and everybody's ready for a day off probably. But no.
But there was lots of coffee to propel us forward.
That's why I went to bed early-ish, because I knew the next day would be packed with Muriel, and I was like, I want to really dig that in too, you know. So
and so everybody kind of zipped through breakfast as much as they could zip, you know, on a couple
and it's
hours
hard
sleep.
to zip through that because that food was excellent.
Yeah.
Really good food.
Absolutely did a great job. There was a little bit of
different
everything.
every day.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, fantastic.
He had sent me a menu that was, you know, and I only took one quick glance at it because I think he's used to people sometimes being a lot more in control of what they wanted for food. You know, we want hamburgers this night, we want this whatever, you know, and don't put this on that or whatever. And I had told him, and one of the reasons you guys heard this yesterday, but why I was real happy with him was it's just he was willing to just take control, and I was willing to just say, you know what, you're the cook, go do whatever you want. You know, you're an expert in this. You know, you cook for groups all the time. I'm not going to micromanage this nonsense.
Exactly.
And so, but he did make one great decision after he sort of evaluated the crowd, because he did have a lot of California-y, you know, slightly off-the-wall cuisine. And one night he had planned for like an Indian flavor of dinner, and he asked Nani, because I wasn't there at the time, I guess. Anyway, if he said, you know, I'm thinking about changing the plan. I said, and she said, okay, fine, whatever you do. She, you know, she knew what I would say, you know, and. He said, I think it was a broader base of crowd, you know, from a lot of people from many other parts of the United States, you know, whereas a lot of his stuff would be California, Oregon vegans, you know, and
Aging hippie vegans.
And so he did beef stew that night.
So he figured out who we were.
A little more Americana, you know, you know.
Yeah.
So that was neat. So yeah, he was very flexible and very
great.
Great stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the food was great. And so we powered through breakfast and then had to hustle. Oh, by the way, so all of the events were in the Casa de Luz, which is a bit of a trek, as I've warned people.
It's
It's an upward trek.
Yeah.
It's not far. It's just
steep.
up.
It doesn't take more than maybe 5 minutes to get there, but it's a 5-minute hill climb.
Yeah, but thank goodness we had a truck to take the guitars up.
That was so great. That, we could.
I like the transition from breakfast or lunch or whatever, and then just, okay, now we're going to sort of...
it was a good transition, sure.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
I saw deers. There were 4 deers on the road when I came. I was running because I wanted to get the banner for Al to sign. Yeah. So they, of course, see me coming running, and so they took off, and I was like, oh, if I would have walked slowly, then I would have catch them a little more. But I did see them.
Yeah, and so Muriel was really like first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, and that was. Luckily, she's kind of a morning person, so she puts that bright face on quick and just is.
Wow.
Joy.
Yeah. And she taught us, you know, again, you would think, Muriel Anderson, what can, you know, do I get to sit in the same room with her?
Yeah.
You know? She taught us stuff we could do. You know, she talked a lot about her playing and what inspires her, but she made it accessible to all of us. And she showed us so many little techniques that we can use to write in our guitar playing no matter what level we were. It was fun.
I really like because the longer that I've been playing the guitar, of course, I realized that the right hand is so important. In so many, actually, I find it more important than this one. Sure, once you got this down, you need to get it down, otherwise, you know. And then it all comes to how you handle this one, how it sounds.
This is where the music comes from.
Exactly.
You know,
and she made that quite clear in how she touches the strings this way or that way or here or there, or the tone of the... I really... Alex did get into that a bit as well. I really absolutely like that.
Yeah.
So there's more to it than... There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
So Muriel was longer... Well, she did the morning. We didn't have anyone else tucked in there.
So today wasn't right. We didn't squeeze in, you know,
indeed.
a 2-hour one and a 1-hour one in the morning.
And she let us all ask a question. She just went through the whole group. She answered everything.
She really understands that some people are not going to raise their hand and ask a question.
Right, so she pretty much picked you out.
Yeah, she
engaged
picked you out.
Your turn.
everyone.
Yeah.
That was really, really nice.
And I wasn't there for the whole thing because I was, at one of my scrambling routines. But did anybody beg off of the question?
Yes, some people said hi.
Just a few.
They
I'm
introduced
so and so. I
themselves,
don't have
but
a
didn't
question
have-
right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a few, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But-
made
but
up
they
for
still-
them. I had 2 questions.
Okay.
I had 2 questions too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she played Vincent. That was nice.
Oh.
Right.
I love Vincent,
Yes.
so it was nice to see her play it again.
And every time she plays some of those, there's some little variances in
Yeah.
it. Like you remarked that about the concert when she played.
Nola.
Nola.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't the way you'd been learning it, right? From her music. Hey, wait! It doesn't go like that.
Yeah.
Today it does.
And
Well, it was nice that I know it enough to see that it's improv.
Right.
And it's nice that because you talk about it all the time when you play songs, it's not just one way or one correct way or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And she does that all the time. With Vincent, she does that too.
Yeah.
I've seen several performances, and sometimes she throws in this lick, and then sometimes this,
Yeah.
and then I like that.
She talked a bit about how her arrangement was mostly taken from Chet Atkins,
Yeah.
but that he plays it a little faster, a little more like a country gentleman, with a little more
Yeah.
beat to it.
Yeah.
And she said that she plays it
As a hopeless romantic.
as a hopeless romantic.
I love that.
Yeah, and she was a little hard pressed when somebody said, "Well, what did Chet sound like?" And you could see her; she kind of had to catch for a second, and then she started playing it a little bit more, a little faster, and a little steadier, and that kind of stuff. And it
You
sounded,
can follow the beats a little more.
yeah, it was not dreamy and flowing, and well, it was flowing.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it was a different river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was really neat because she could say, well, this Chet was a little bit more like this.
Right.
Yeah, it was nice.
And
So that was
then-
Muriel.
So we had Muriel, then we had lunch. I'm sure we had lunch.
I'm sure we had
Yeah.
lunch.
It was
I
good.
know.
And I'm sure it was good.
Yeah.
What did we do in the afternoon?
I'm trying to remember.
Let's see, Saturday afternoon.
Was that Al?
Need I remind you?
Was it Al? Yeah, of course that was Al.
That was
Al.
Al. See, there was so
We
much.
are-
I thought, what else could there possibly be? Oh yeah, Al Stewart.
Yeah, we have
Here, you want me
the
to-
owl poster.
Here we go. Go
There
ahead.
we go.
Yeah.
Some of you have probably seen this, but this is for people not too familiar with Al. You should be, and I'm very disappointed in you. But if
I'm
you-
sorry, I saw this. This is the first time I saw it this morning.
Yeah. This is a poster that has most of the people that Al has mentioned in his songs, and they're all historical figures going way back to Merlin. This is not King Arthur's Merlin. It's one much older,
Yeah.
like centuries
Right.
before
Yes,
Scotland.
exactly.
He wouldn't write something about King Arthur. Well,
Right.
actually, he probably
He
would.
would.
Henry VIII has got to be in there. He's got plenty. Jimi Hendrix is in there.
I think that,
Elvis is in there
Elvis.
a couple
yeah,
of times.
but there's so many people in here. I think Neil and I were able to name about 5% of the people that are on this poster. I mean, there's a lot of historical
200 is
figures.
what
Yeah,
I've been told.
I can't imagine that. It's
Yeah.
pretty neat. And Dave Nachmanoff
Nachmanoff.
is right there.
With
So-
his nice little
Of course.
beret
His little
type
hat.
thing.
Yeah.
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 And the whole Sgt. Pepper
yeah.
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah.
you know.
Is this poster still available?
I think so.
Okay, maybe
Cool.
like on Al's website or something. Yeah.
And the answer sheet too. The key.
Oh,
The
okay.
key to who all these
Yeah,
people are.
yeah, good.
Oh, cool.
They originally did have a contest about it,
Yeah.
and I think a few people came within one or two. I'm not sure if somebody got them all. I know Al couldn't get them all, and because there are people in there that he has no idea what they actually look like,
Yeah.
but he's read about them, and
Right.
these would be characters like Nostradamus or something,
Yeah.
who's got to be in there somewhere.
I'm
but,
sure he is.
I don't know what he looked like.
I
A
no.
bunch of British generals. So
Oh yeah, lots of generals.
Anyway, that
so
was
back to
the-
Al
that was the
Benjamin
afternoon.
Franklin. He has a great song called "Dinner with Ben Franklin."
Really?
That is all about the conversations he would have with Ben Franklin if he were given the opportunity, and it is just from an album that was songs all that incorporated wine into the song for some way. And his first because somebody suggested him doing that. Actually, a record company said, "Do this, and we'll put it out." And his first reaction was, "I'm going to write 12 songs about wine." Almost none of them are actually about wine. They're
Of
about,
course.
one's called "The Night the Band Got the Wine." It's a whole story about an earthquake and a giant party, and because nobody showed up for this billionaire's birthday party, the band got the wine. And up until then, they'd always hated each other, and they'd always they play these covers at parties and things like that, and all they do is bicker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And as they're playing to this empty hall and drinking this very, very nice wine, pretty soon they start playing stuff like Inagata Vita, and it's like they all get along, and now they're, anyway, it's a...
Oh, what a great song.
Yeah,
I love that
and that's
story.
just one of
That's
these,
just
of these
how he
wine
does that.
songs.
Yeah, his storytelling
amazing.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah,
that
that was all
after,
Al.
so that afternoon we had Al,
Yeah.
and he was so comfortable. I think we were at some point we were going to have a break, and you said, "You want to have a break?" He said, "Oh,
You
I'm
want to
having
have
fun."
a break?
You
This
know?
is fun. Ask me more.
we were talking. He was very pressed for time, and so we were thinking. And everybody brought stuff they wanted him to sign. So we
Yes.
needed some time at a table with a
To do
Sharpie.
that too.
Yeah.
And to kind of guarantee it was going to happen, Al and I had planned. Go like about an hour, and then we'll break for maybe 15 minutes. You can sign all the stuff,
Right.
and then you get back and back.
Yeah.
And at one point, he did look at me and kind of said, "Should we break?" And it was clear that he was on a roll.
Yeah, he was
And
really,
it's like I just couldn't break the momentum because
Yeah.
you could see when he sits down and signs stuff, he's kind of like in a different
Yeah.
different
that's-
zones,
yeah.
and it's
Oh,
a different
absolutely.
comfort zone.
Right.
And he had the juice was flowing.
It was fun. We were having certainly.
Yeah, it was
he was having as much fun as we were.
Yeah.
We knew we were gonna have fun, but
Yeah.
it was really a neat session, and
Yeah.
we learned a lot about songwriting.
Oh, absolutely.
He stayed on, even though he was telling about lots of different things, he would
stayed
always
on the
bring it
subject.
back
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the songwriting piece
Right.
of it, and that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh,
And-
that was a day.
It sure was. It
Wow.
was.
And I know for sure, I was kind of a little apprehensive of how he would feel like after this and before and stuff, and if it would be something, because he had certainly never done anything like it before, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
only
it was
a slight twist of, because the audience now was guitar players.
Right.
And more than that, it's guitar players who want to write songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many guitar players want to be Alex DeGrassi, but know they never will.
Right.
But anybody could learn to write songs at some
Yeah.
level,
Sure.
as long as you can play a few chords and
Yeah.
and know a language.
Yeah.
Yes.
A
it's-
language.
It's pretty simple.
Sure.
Or it can be very
Can-
simple.
yeah. Yeah.
And so Al, like I think a lot of other people, brought something that everybody could walk away with and feel like, yeah, I could do this,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something, and he had a lot to offer. And we'll get more into the specifics about some of the goofy songs later. Although we actually did talk about
Yeah,
already
we
Dolphin
yeah.
and
True.
Yes.
and then he said the country and western thing, which he said I just don't, and he kind of laid into it like anyway. I'll try to be kind, but and he said I did write one country and western song once, but it was full of profanity. And he said so the record company wasn't going to didn't go for it because I didn't want him to anyway. But it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
It was really
And
funny.
so he sang it, and he said, but he knew he was being recorded, and so we hope to have that video available someday. And so he said, so I'll just substitute the word Nixon every time there was a profanity in there, and that made it just as funny.
Right, and he's so skilled at this that he could just say Nixon in there every time. And it's pretty funny. He never lost it and forgot where he was.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
In a way, he's pretty focused.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
And so one thing that made me feel really good too was that he, I told you Nani picked him up at the airport,
Yeah.
and his drive out there was very quiet and just kind of, he was not in his comfort zone yet. And then my sister Ann took him back to the airport, and when she got back, I was kind of concerned. Oh, and Karina was of course with him too. So I hope she reports the same story. We'll see her today, Anyway, and I asked Ann if how was the drive with Al? Kind of feeling like it could have been a little tense or something. She goes, "See, we couldn't shut him up." So
He was all pumped up.
Yeah, he was just amped and stuff, and that was really
Yeah,
good
that's
to
a
hear.
good sign.
Yeah, it is a
Absolutely.
good
Yeah.
sign because if he had been exhausted or drained by it, he probably would have been quiet. But he
Yeah.
was still
Yeah.
clearly had more to
Good.
say.
One thing that really impressed me was he played a song. Mark had asked him about a specific song, Midas Shadow,
Yeah.
that he doesn't play very often.
Yeah.
Now you might have noticed the night before, as he's getting older,
Yeah.
he can't hit some of the high notes that he used
Oh,
to.
yeah.
And so he's modified melodies in the songs
Yeah.
to make them not, you don't hear him say, Peter Lorre Compton.
Yeah.
He doesn't go up there anymore.
Yeah.
He changes the
Yeah.
changes the melody, doesn't affect the song really at all.
Yeah.
And he went into Midas Shadow, which has the line, "Are you there with a pocket and a grease stain in your hair?" You know.
Oh yeah.
And all of those high notes. The first time he tried to hit one, and I also said, you know, this is a little early in the day. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, a little early for somebody who does
Right.
shows at night all the
Right.
time. And so he, as soon as he tried to hit that first note, he realized he can't do
That's
it. You
not
know,
going to
maybe
happen.
late at night he might be able to, but he said, you know, and so he just, the next time he did it, he just changed the tune, and it stayed like that for the rest of the song,
Yeah.
and it still was perfect. The,
Yeah.
the effect got across. You
Oh,
know, it's like
absolutely. Yeah.
so he can, you know, can gracefully just modify whatever
Yeah.
he needs to,
Yeah.
and nobody's gonna say, you know, oh well, Al's great, but he can't hit the notes anymore. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You know, that's
True.
not an issue
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
John Fogerty can still scream, and if he couldn't, you'd start feeling like, oh, it's not the same without
Right,
him,
too,
without
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
without that
True.
vocal cord shredding.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that he
Yeah.
still is pulling off as a
Right.
70-year-old almost.
Yeah.
And Al is almost 7. Al is 69.
Yeah.
You know. So
Wow.
that was pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was another great afternoon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But because he was indeed had to go, it did give us a little more time afterwards to indeed play together.
Right, so he was out of
lots
there a little after
people
3, and then everybody had, you know, some time to
Yeah.
kind of.
Right.
And the open mic was coming up in the evening, so
Right.
people were kind
Right,
of rehearsing
now they're
here,
kinda-
there.
yeah,
and,
yeah, so that was
Richard was in there somewhere,
right.
right?
And so Richard Hoover, we had everybody up at the Casa for one more thing with Richard talking about guitar building and
Yeah.
and lutherie in general, and and it was when everybody left Al's thing, was it pouring right then?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was pouring all day.
It was a rainy day.
Right,
Yeah.
and yeah, so we had a very unusual rainy day in September here.
Shocking.
That was that I thought was beautiful. I mean,
It
when
was
I got up
refreshing.
Saturday morning, and you know,
Yeah.
and Nani said, "Is it raining out there?" And I heard, because we had all the screens and everything open in our
Yeah.
little cabin there, and I'd left a few things out. I'd gone for a hike the day before. My shoes were outside, and so I didn't get any more hikes in because they were slogged.
Yeah.
You know, but the rain just made it really fragrant too. These redwood trees now getting their first dousing in a while, man. It was.
Wow.
It was nice to see it in both
Yeah, it
beautiful
was
sunny
kinda
weather
fascinating.
and a sort of drizzly day.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
still gorgeous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
And I think it made it, you know, it still was not much. Those trees cover so much that even the road up and down,
Yeah,
you know, it cuts
that's
off
true.
a lot of the rain.
Yeah,
You
oh,
know, of course, sometimes you
absolutely.
get hit by really big drops that
Yeah.
have been
Yeah.
hanging on a branch.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
here, got my hair washed.
Right. It's coming from 200 feet up. Right.
Yeah, some momentum there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so we did have a rainy day that
Yeah.
didn't really affect anything.
Richard was late.
And then Richard was
That was
late,
it.
so everybody was up at the Casa, and that was going to be the last thing there. And so, he was like about 20 minutes late, and so at that point I kind of made the decision to let's head back down the hill. If he shows up, we'll do it there. And let's put the chairs away. Let's kind of clean this place up, and this will be we'll say goodbye to the Casa de Luz.
Casa. Yeah.
But and just then he drives up. You know,
Yeah.
almost everybody was down the hill, and it
Yeah.
was just me and the video guys. Video guys and I were still in there.
Yeah.
Al's getting to me. Actually, I'm kind of I don't know. Okay, I'll save that story later.
All right.
But so now he drives up, and it's a very hard turn. It's hard to get a car up there.
Yeah.
That's why they don't,
Yeah.
we don't park up there or anything. But and so and I go down and stop him and say, hey, let's go down the hill and do it down there because we'll round up people. I just sort of turned them loose. And,
Yeah. Turned him loose.
and so probably only about 2/3 of the group, maybe about 20,
Yeah.
stayed for him. And I think some of them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay, because some of them probably didn't know that we were still getting it off the ground. They might have,
Right, but some people had just, I think we had most of the group there in the dining room for
Right.
this thing anyhow.
Right.
You know,
And so we decided to just kind of use a corner of it,
Yeah.
and people could come huddle a little closer because. And I apologize to Todd because it's one of those things. He was in there working on dinner,
Yeah.
and that's why that's why we didn't do a lot of stuff in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It would
Because of that.
because he'll be making noise, and it's going to make him feel bad if he's making noise.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But and then I told him to go ahead, make noise. We're going to be over here by the
Yeah.
fireplace and stuff. And I'm really sorry we had to do this here, but.
Yeah.
It went fine anyway.
But it was great. It was fascinating information. Just fascinating. Anyone who owns a guitar would have enjoyed it because you
Yeah.
learn about guitars.
Right. I liked his whole thing about the more the camaraderie of lutherie,
Yeah.
as opposed to the old guild system,
Yeah.
you know, where people kept their secrets and stuff.
Yeah.
And the first part of his stuff was more about the history of violin making,
Yes.
and how
Yeah.
that has, had evolved, and really the guitar industry or craft really followed in the heels of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
luckily, though, they don't have to. There are ways to, pre-age wood. Now that in the olden days,
Yeah.
this is the great part of the story when he said that one violin maker would buy wood for the next generation and use the wood of his teacher.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
because it needed to be 25 to 50 years old,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody's going to go stock their own wood
Yeah.
and then use it.
Yeah.
So but you would get wood from the master,
Yeah.
kind of, and you'd be buying wood for the next master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
it was really interesting.
It was. That was fascinating.
So that was Richard.
That was Richard.
And then we had dinner. Another fine dinner.
Of
No
course.
complaints about the food. That was good stuff.
That was all good.
And then
And then-
we all were getting nervous because it was almost time for our open mic.